Hey there, welcome to Educate. I am Vasudha, and for the purpose of today's lesson, we'll look at the second part of the chapter on variations in psychological attributes. So, you know how last class when we met, we talked about unraveling some definitions of intelligence. We tried to understand what is it that makes one individual more intelligent than the other. Why are some people called brainiac and others are called smarty pants? Right? So, to understand and explore the concept of intelligence more, we deep dive to understand the theories of intelligence. As we looked at some of the theories, we explored that there were two core types which the theorists came on about. These were the psychometric theories and the information processing theories. Psychometric theories suggested that human beings have to have some metric of intelligence within themselves. This metric could be either the ability to solve problems or a general factor or a specific factor as suggested in Charles Spearman theory, or it could be to do with the processing at different levels, which was the levels processing theory. Either, if not levels processing, Louis Thurstone suggested that there are the theory of 7 primary mental abilities, and if you had those mental abilities, you were said to be intelligent. However, that was also negated by J.P. Guilford, who came up with the Rubik's theory. Remember? So those were some of the things. This was a quick revision from last class. I hope you guys were able to recap a little. Today's class, we will explore the information processing theory type. Okay, now these theories are very different from psychometric. The metric theory is associated a number to intelligence. However, these information processing theories suggest that it is not so much about the number of intelligences that you have. However, it is about how you use those intelligences to find a solution to the problem that you're experiencing in your present world. Okay, let's go and let's explore. And also, let's have fun. As we unravel theories of intelligence, please keep in mind the several definitions of intelligence which you've learned. I suggest that you keep any one definition of intelligence in your mind at all times. This will truly help you to understand the theories better. Let's go. Let's start the very first theory suggested by Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner was a very interesting psychologist, guys. He was rather interested in how individuals are more intelligent than other individuals who aren't that intelligent. So he discovered these 8 different types, and he suggested that all individuals have these 8 intelligences. What makes one person more intelligent is the way these intelligences interact with each other to produce novel solutions to problems. What Howard Gardner also suggested was that each of these intelligences are quite distinct from each other. They seem to be, if you look at these intelligences, each of these intelligences are very independent of each other, yet they come together and interact with each other to find interesting solutions to the problems that an individual is faced with. Okay, so first off, according to Howard Gardner, all of these intelligences, they are independent entities. They are not dependent on each other. The second thing he suggested is that all of them, they are very distinct from each other. As you can observe from the list displayed in front of you, each of these intelligences seem to be very independent and different. They're various, they're varied in their abilities. And last off, they all beautifully come together to interact with each other whenever required to solve problems. Now let's deep dive to understand what these types of intelligences are all about. So the first one is linguistic. As the name suggests, linguistic intelligence is very high in individuals who are very good with their verbal skills, with their expressive skills, such as writers, poets, who are very good with vocabulary and effortlessly express themselves beautifully. Those are high on linguistic. Then, of course, we have logical mathematical intelligence. These types of intelligences are very high in individuals who have logical, analytical thinking, such as mathematicians and scientists who are able to have a lot of abstract and logical thinking. Okay. Up next, we have spatial intelligence. This kind of intelligence is very high in individuals who are able to transform mental images, right? Such as drivers, such as pilots, such as dancers, right? All of these individuals who are high on spatial intelligence are able to tell the distance between objects, and they interact with them very intelligently so that they don't bump into it. Okay. Musical intelligence is the type of intelligence which is very high in individuals who have the ability to, admire, appreciate music. These individuals are able to understand the musical notes from different pitches, tones, and tunes, and tend to exhibit high musical intelligence. Up next, we have bodily kinesthetic. Those individuals who are very flexible, who are able to have beautiful movements in their body, such as ballerinas or dancers or individuals who can move, who are gymnasts, are said to display high amounts of bodily kinesthetic intelligence. As the name suggests, intrapersonal intelligence is to do with an individual having a good hold of self-awareness about themselves. These individuals are very aware about how they feel, why they behave the way they do, how they interact with other individuals. So that high level of self-awareness, of knowing of oneself, of one's feelings, of one's emotions, of one's behaviors, is intrapersonal intelligence. Up next, we have interpersonal intelligence. Just like intrapersonal is to understand the self, interpersonal is to understand another individual. So how well are you able to understand your peers, your parents, all the social agents around you? Whether if you're able to tell their feelings of how they're feeling, to understand their behaviors, the ability to discriminate, to understand another individual against yourself, is that ability to have interpersonal intelligence. Then, of course, there is naturalistic intelligence, the love for nature, for flora and fauna, to understand the greater world around you, is naturalistic intelligence. All those individuals who are interested in botany, who are interested in understanding the natural sciences, are individuals who are high on naturalistic intelligence. You guys can also find some notes for the same which have been made by me attached in the link below. These will really aid you to understand and learn for your exams. Okay guys, if there are any questions which you feel that I could answer, you could put them again in the comments box, and I'm sure I'll come around to answer your queries. I hope we're clear on Howard Gardner's theory. We're going to move on to the next theory of information processing, theories of intelligence. The second type of intelligence, the information processing theory that we'll look at, is Robert Sternberg's Triarchic theory. Now, if you essentially look at a triangle, you'll find theory has three interesting components. Let's look at these components together to understand the theory. Robert Sternberg's theory suggests that it defines, in fact, intelligence to be the ability to shape, adapt, and select one's environment. Here, shaping of the environment and selecting and adapting to the environment is focused upon to accomplish whatever goals you've got, right? Whatever goals which not only you creating those goals, but also the culture creating those goals. So the whole idea, class, is for you to be able to shape, to adapt, and to select the environment which you're choosing to. All right. Now, if you look at the theory, you will focus upon those three components which are in front of you. These components are componential, experiential, and contextual. So if you look at the componential component, you'll notice that it has a knowledge acquisition component, a meta, and a performance component. The knowledge acquisition stage, guys, is that stage wherein you are acquiring information. You're acquiring the knowledge which is required for you to solve the problem. Up next, the meta component is the component wherein you are using the acquired knowledge. It is the component where you actually analyze the data. You try to explore the data and information to solve the problem that is in front of you. right? The last stage here is the performance component. This is the action component. Upon this, when this stage arises, you want to focus upon taking the action desirable to your circumstance or your situation to get the desired output or outcome from it. So that is the performance component. So to think of an example here, let's say that you are in a psychology class. You are sitting in a class to discover what personality means. So according to the knowledge acquisition stage, that will be your acquiring stage. So you acquire all the knowledge and information about personality. The meta component will be you using that information to analyze it further, deeper, add meaning. Focus upon personality itself, related to your personality and personality of your peers perhaps, and analyze this information further. And last off, you have a performance component whereby you might have an upcoming unit test on the chapter of personality, and thereof whatever information you've acquired, you give an output to it in the unit test and perform efficiently, which would be the performance component. This is componential component of the triarchic theory. Up next, we have the experiential component. The experiential component, it focuses upon you using all of those past experiences which you've gathered in your lifetime to solve problems effectively in your now. Up next, we've got the contextual stage. This contextual stage is corely, guys, your ability to deal with the demands of the context in which you are. So contextually, every day we're focused, we overcome with so many different problems in our everyday life, right? And sometimes we struggle, we find it very hard to deal with the circumstances that we're caught up with. However, your ability to deal with things smartly, your ability to deal with things in a manner that helps you win them, right? Like you're winning with life, you're not like thinning away with circumstances. So all of that ability to deal with your environmental stressors, to deal with all of the conflicts, to deal with all the bad vibes. So that ability is your street smartness. It's basically your business sense as you deal with individuals. It's your social ethics which you employ to be able to overcome with the challenges that you experience in your everyday. That, guys, is contextual intelligence. I hope all of us are clear with Robert Sternberg's triarchic theory. We'll pause here for you to read some of the notes which are attached in the link below. Please check those out. They'll be really helpful. And let's go on to the next theory of information processing approach. We're now going to move to the third theory of the information processing type theories of intelligence. All right. So, what is this type of information processing theory all about? This theory was given by J.P. Das, Kirby, and Naglieri. Guys, you must know the names of the theorists very well. They're very important, including the year in which they gave the theory. This theory, as you can see, was given in the year 1994 and is called as the PASS model. The full form of PASS is planning, arousal, attention, and simultaneous and successive model of intelligence. So this theory, it accentuates on these different processes that we use to make sense of the world around us, and therefore lets us know how intelligent we are as individuals. So the first here is arousal and attention. So guys, you must know that the term arousal is a very biological term. And attention instead is more to do with the cognitive processes. It's a cognitive mental framework that you use to pay attention to things. Okay, so when you get aroused, so let's say that your teacher announces that you have a psychology unit test coming up in the next, perhaps say next week, right? Will that create a lot of arousal systems to be activated in your body? Perhaps you'll become perhaps your stomach might growl, okay, making you hungry because probably you're nervous. Or let's say that biologically your heartbeat might just race up because you'll be like, whoops, I've got this test coming up. Or your palms and your hands and your feet might just get very sweaty. Right? So those are some of the bodily reactions that you might exhibit, therefore showing that your body is now aroused about an upcoming unit test. On the contrary, attention is more mental in its nature, okay, and it will rise all of these. Maybe you'll start thinking about what is it that you can do to prepare yourself for the upcoming unit test, and therefore you'll be very attentive towards it in the moment in time. After arousal and attention, the body focuses on simultaneous and successive processing of information. So, if you've noticed, the word simultaneous is something that goes side by side, hand by hand. So, simultaneous is, for example, when you focus upon two things together. So, when you listen to music while solving a maths problem, can I say that is simultaneous? Right? Or if you're driving and listening to music, that is a simultaneous activity. So you have the ability to simultaneously operate upon two things at one time. However, successive activities are those which means that one thing is done before the other thing that needs to be done. So, for example, when you count, when you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or when you say A, B, C, D, this is successive. One thing has to come before the other in order for the next thing to come, which was to come before the thing that had to come after, right? So there's a lot of there is use of successiveness, and that is what it truly means. So, how is it that really arousal, attention, simultaneous, and successive truly work? Is that arousal helps you to pay attention to reading, learning, and writing, and simultaneous and successive thereof, they help you to understand, to make sense, to make meaning of the information that is incoming, and to use it effectively to help you solve the problem that you're focused upon. Right? So this is how they interplay with each other to make sense of the world around you, thereby giving you solutions and allowing you to solve problems. All right. As a last part to the theory here is planning. We all know that planning is such an important part of our everyday, right? Once when you've acquired the possible incoming information, the next thing that comes very naturally to all of us is the ability to plan. So planning is all about looking at the possible courses of action, right? Setting up an action plan and then actually acting upon that plan. That plan is something that's viable to you, and it helps you join the dots and reach the possible outcome that you're seeking. Okay. Yes, of course, if your plan also fails, this ability also allows you to have an alternate plan of action ready and in place, up and running. So this is the planning aspect of J.P. Das, Naglieri and Kirby's PASS model. Okay, guys, so that's a wrap to all of the theories of intelligences. We've discovered two great types, the psychometric and information processing. Let's just take a few minutes to summarize the theories that we studied together today. So the first theory was given by Howard Gardner, and his was a theory of multiple intelligences. I'm wondering who could list out those 8 intelligences in the comments section for me below. Great. The second theory that we did was the theory given by Robert Sternberg, and his was the triarchic theory of intelligence. The third theory, which we discovered together today, was given by J.P. Das, Naglieri, and Kirby. This theory was called as the PASS model of intelligence. Can anyone quickly write out the full form of PASS in the comments section below? The full form of PASS is planning, arousal, attention, simultaneous and successive, ability to intelligence. All right, great. That's a wrap to today's little session that we had on the information processing theories of intelligence. We will meet again shortly to discover more interesting, fascinating aspects of intelligence. Signing out, thank you for your time and focus. Bye.